know you, and I know you got a hectic schedule, so I appreciate you taking this time out to be able to come and talk to us and be able to just spread some knowledge and some information and resources that you have and that you like to give to people, because it's important, the work that you do, and I appreciate that, and it needs to be shouted out there. So I want to start by just having you tell people just a little bit about who you are, who is Claude Gibbs III, and who he is, and just a little bit about what you do, and then we'll get into our conversation about everything else.
Yeah. So again, Claude Gibbs. I'm one of the principal partners here at Take Charge Financial Group. Been in the insurance industry for about 11 years now. I've done various types of life insurance and have an extensive knowledge in the life insurance industry. So I just been in a position where I took a passion for the life insurance industry through my father, actually. He was also a life insurance man, and he specialized in a particular life insurance industry. And so what I found myself over the years was, I worked for a traditional company in the life insurance industry, and transitioned from there. And I've always been a businessman, in regards to participating in different various types of businesses, from multi-level marketing and of course life insurance. Had a job as a life insurance for a major company that's right there in Baltimore. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say any companies, but just know that it's right there, that they have a home office right there in the city of Baltimore. And then of course went on independent ventures, where I started my own insurance agency. And of course that's where I'm one of the principal partners here at Take Charge Financial Group, and started my own insurance agency, where I've now partnered with one company, or I partner with, with a couple different companies, but one primary company in regards to, what I've actually now made my niche market, which is actually the final expense life insurance market. So what's really helped me with being very beneficial from an informational standpoint, educational standpoint, is that I've had a journey of, helping people with traditional life insurance and different various life insurance, where I've now made a niche market where I literally help people basically fund their funeral. And that's very important, especially in the society and the community that we live in today. A lot of people are not educated or even believe in the concept of having life insurance in general, or specifically final expense life insurance. So I just been able to really help the community with just getting educated about the whole. I've now transformed myself, if you will, into a final expense specialist. So being a specialist is major, because when you're a specialist, it's not that you're not knowledgeable about other things, but when you bring that content and that knowledge about those various life insurance, I help educate people on how they can now make the best decision for their family, but at the same token, not lose my niche market, which is that final expense market. Because at the end of the day, everyone's going to die, right? And so and that's what I've now cut my teeth on. So again, about me, just an entrepreneur, a life insurance man, and also just a firm believer of personal development and leadership.
And I love that. Personal development and leadership is something that's greatly needed. But I love the narratives that you just gave about who you are and what you do, being a final expense specialist. Because when we think about it, when you go to the doctor, we may have our regular doctor that we go to.
There you go.
But then if there's something particular that we need to have taken care of, our doctor says, hey, I need you to what? Go see a specialist. I need you to go see this dude, this woman that knows that's all they do every day, all day, is work on this particular type of issue that you're having. So I love that. I love that you are the final expense specialist. and you
Right.
hone in on letting people know. And I'm gonna go right into it because I know y'all don't talk about it enough. So I'm gonna talk about it because I talk about those things that people don't want to talk about. These found expenses that we don't take care of, that we don't take care of. So we have to understand how important it is for us to be able to make sure to ensure. And it's really not, it's, and I'll have you talk a little bit more about that. But to me, it's more important that we take care of those final expenses, those final arrangements for the people that we leave behind more so than us, because we gone. We
Right.
gone. We don't have no more worries. We don't have no more worries. But the people that we leave behind, they have the task of doing the final arrangements, taking care of any and all expenses, taking care, making sure that you have your last wishes taken care of.
There you go.
I got some personal family things that we had to take care of that comes down to these final expenses. And it's like, okay, what are we doing? And even those conversations that we
There you
must
go.
have. And I want to start off, if I can, by asking you that. And then no, I will go to the hard question first, and then I'll ask
Hard questions. I love hard questions.
this. Why do you think that that we as a community don't have these conversations about what our final wishes are, what our final, our final expenses, or what we need to take care of, and even not make sure that we have enough final expenses to take care of our last wishes. Can you talk a little bit about that and how important that is to?
Yeah, and I appreciate that question, Dr. Leroy, because when it comes to life insurance, one of the first things that people have to come to grips with is to shift their relationship about life insurance, right?
Mm.
Because you have different mythologies or different thought patterns when it comes to life insurance. So,
Mhm.
especially like with men, right? Because even in my industry, when I talk to men,
Yep.
men don't necessarily, men say things like, "Oh man, you could put me in the box, throw me in the backyard," right?
Mm-hmm.
And the
Mm-hmm.
funny thing about it is, yes, we can certainly do that, my friend. However, is not necessarily throwing you in the box and throwing you in the backyard. There are people who have to take care of or maintain a quality of life, let alone the actual final expenses, right, to bury somebody. So number one is just the shifting the thought pattern about what life insurance is for, especially in the community of men, African American men, to be exact, because sometimes they don't have that right relationship with what it means to have life insurance in general.
Right.
But sometimes we have to shift off of us. And just like you said an important key word, is not for you. It's for your wife. It's for your sister. It's for your aunt. It's for somebody has to handle, this particular expense, and they got to handle it in a very timely fashion.
Right.
Okay. So, and so sometimes we have to shift off of us and think about others. And so that's one major factor or contributor, why that conversation is avoided. The other reason why it's avoided is just the typical thought pattern. Oh man, what you trying to kill me? What you trying to, what you trying what you trying to do something to me? And then now they have this negative thought pattern because they avoid it as well too, because they feel like it's like some kind of omen or bad omen, if you
Right.
will.
Right.
Like they're gonna die soon. So like, I don't even want to entertain the conversation, and so what I've done throughout the years is to, and believe it or not, you'd be very surprised. So sometimes when people try to avoid the conversation of death, I try to make that conversation very relaxing and very pleasant, right? So a lot of people try to avoid that conversation, but when they deal with me, I try to make it exciting. As a matter of fact, it's so funny because literally one of the things that I like to do with my agency is we actually do not only set you up with a life insurance policy, but we also help you get out of the way the actual final wishes, the final planning aspect of it, so that we can get that out the way.
Really? Okay.
Because what happens is that people are not proactive in that arena. And so the last thing that you want to do is prepare, for death at a moment's notice, right? And so what happens, especially in the world of final expenses, there's a lot of conflict that happens, right? We don't know what mama want. We don't know what daddy want, right? We don't know what auntie want. We don't know. So what happens is, part of my process, or something that we take pride in at Take Charge Financial Group, is when we set you up with a policy, we also provide you a free planning guide.
Mm.
And I'm very involved in that process.
Mhm.
And we have fun with it, right? So we even think, so sometimes when we're going through that funeral planning guide, we have fun with this thing. I mean, we talking about, hey man, what kind of music do you want played at your, do you want the, the Bee Gees playing, like what, what you want, the little up, what's your favorite music, right? What you want played there? Is there anybody that, what's your favorite flowers? Do you want to get buried with that your favorite hat and that cane? How, do you want to be, hey, this is a celebration, right? And so it's just that upbeat conversation, when we deal with it. So when we go through that funeral and planning guide, it's not like the gloomy and gloomy conversation. It's very upbeat, very, I try to make it as entertaining as possible. And then sometimes, yes, there will be some emotional moments, and which I like. Sometimes I don't stare away from that, because when they get emotional about their plans, guess what they start thinking about is not leaving other people in that same position. Hold up, man. I would hate for my daughter or my son to leave their kids in a bad position because we didn't do the so I always try to educate. The younger that I catch them with helping them with life insurance, the better off it is, because now that young adult, right, that young parent, that young mother, that young father, as their kids are transitioning, guess what they can do now? They don't have to be that person that got in on it late in their life, because in the world of life insurance, the later you get in, you can't buy as much. But the younger you are, the better it is economically, financially. So the sooner we start educating, right? And it all starts from a place of education, which brings me to my third point: lack of education. They don't know that they can get a policy with pre-existing issues. They don't know that there's companies out there, that you don't have to, do a whole lot of qualifications and have these red tape situations, right? They don't know that, certain companies can cover people with AIDS and HIV, right? And so when you avoid or don't run in the right circles, now you tend to repeat what? History, right? But you can change the trajectory of your family's history by maybe you got in late, but your kids don't have to get in late. Your kids' kids don't have to get in late. Now you can shift the dynamic of planning for other things that money can go towards, again, freeing up more money for other resources outside of life insurance. Life insurance happens to be one of those pillars that could be a good, a financial benefit if you use it the right way with the right education.
Yeah, and I heard someone, they were talking about that earlier today. They were saying how life insurance policies is one of the means to be able to create wealth, legacy, wealth, to be able to build wealth. And many of us don't understand that or know that. But I always tell folks the story of Master P. Master P started his business with a $10,000 life insurance policy that he got from, I think, his grandfather, I believe it was. Yep. So something that simple that it, and we'll get into a little bit about, about the pricing for life insurance policy. It's not that expensive. And like you said, it's more, I want you to say that and talk about that again. The importance of starting when you are younger. Talk to that 25-year-old, that 35-year-old, because I'm not, I think you probably in that 25, 35-year range, because you looked at young, but I want you to talk to them and the importance of having a life insurance policy, because when I was that age, and the folks that, that I know, many of us weren't thinking about that. We were thinking that we were indestructible, that there was nothing ever going to happen to us, and that we were going to just live forever. You know what I'm saying? So can you talk to them just a little bit more of just about that importance of starting that life insurance policy, or that final expense policy at an earlier age?
Exactly. So, so again, one of the things about being in this industry is that, I got exposed to the life insurance at a very early age. Like, as I alluded to in my story a little bit earlier, my dad, is in the life insurance industry. So I already had a great foundation about the meaning of having life insurance. And I get it. Just like you said, like a lot of young folks, because I mean, even right now, even myself, I'm currently 36 years old, right?
See?
So again, we're not thinking about death, and you're absolutely right. We're thinking about having fun and starting a business or working, starting a family, things of that nature. And so one of the things that we don't think about is that, but guess what? Death can strike upon you at any age, right? And you have to remember that, right? Death can, there's some people, their babies are dying, right? And just the same way babies are being born, you can die at any age, right? We don't have a crystal ball. And so, yes, it's one of those things, that you don't want to, discuss, but just remember, this is just only a moment in life where starting early could be very advantageous for several reasons. Typically, younger folks don't have a lot of health issues. Right. So when you don't have a lot of health issues, that's where a lot of the clientele that I end up having to educate, that sometimes I have clients who have had issues and they're qualified. And sometimes, they forget that, hey, listen, like when you were younger, if you and literally I get the same response every time. Man, I wish I would have got this in my 30s and my 40s or in my 20s, because typically the older you get, now we're not saying this for everybody, it just happens just the way it is. As we get older, typically we, sometimes we end up getting ailments that we didn't have before, right? We didn't have high blood pressure, now we have high blood pressure. We had a good heart, now we had a heart attack, right? We had good kidneys, now we need a kidney replacement, right? So all those things, your body tends to break down the later in life that you get, right? And I'm not saying this is it for everybody, but this is the clientele that I talk to. A lot of people that I talk to are seniors, right? And something that I always ask them, hey, Mr. Mrs. Jones, who can I talk to in your family, who's in their 20s, who's in their 30s, who's in their 40s, who don't have to have a late jump on this thing. And now you can get them educated now while they're in their perfect health, while they're in their right mind. You know what I mean? So one of the advantages of getting in early is that you avoid some of these life changes, transitional, that happen with our life, where, now, when we were as healthy as we can be, now you can take advantage of it from not only a financial standpoint, because it'll be very super affordable, right? We're talking about, literally, what's on a $10 bill? Jackson.
Is it Jack? Yeah, I think it's
Jackson.
it's Jackson.
Just a couple of Jacksons, right? Versus now you a senior and now you got to pay a Benjamin. So
exactly.
So again, because again, when you're younger, you can get a lot more for a little bit of money versus having to be a senior when you're retiring and phasing out, because remember, as a senior, guess what you're supposed to be doing? You're supposed to be paying less bills. Not more bills.
Exactly.
So when you're younger, guess what you can do too? You have time on your side. So your time horizon could also have a policy where by the time you are in your 50s, you can have a policy paid up. So again, you're having less bills. So there's financial advantages of getting in while you're young. There's health advantages to getting into it while you're young. There is, from a policy standpoint, if you happen to die young, you can leave a legacy for your children's children while you're young. And again, I know that's one of the main contributors to why those conversations aren't had, because no one is thinking about death. But guess what? There's some advantages too. If you get educated, and again, I love having these conversations because there's ways that you can actually use life insurance while you're alive. You know what I mean? So I know we might not have time to get into that, but a lot of people don't know that there are some living benefits to having life insurance if you get educated. So if you hang around the right circles, or catch a little bit of some education, because you understand, I can also teach you how to use life insurance while you're alive. You don't even have to die to use it.
Wow.
A lot of people think you got to die to use life insurance, but if you get hooked up with me and get educated, I can teach you how to use it while you're living.
Oh, I like that. I like that. I like that. And that's like it's like we've been saying, these are the conversations that most of us don't have and the education that we don't get behind that. Because my question would be, yeah, I need to know more about how I can use my life insurance policy to be able to make money or to do what I need to do while I'm still here. And it's not
Yes.
just a benefit for those that I leave behind and leave that policy to so that they can do it. So yeah, we definitely I definitely want you to talk a little bit about that. I want you to talk a little bit about that and the benefits of doing that. Yeah, we'll put that in here. We'll put that in here right now.
Yeah, okay. And again, I appreciate the opportunity to continue to share about that. So one of the great things, so I'm gonna just kind of talk about it from two standpoints. So one of the great usages of life insurance. So I want you to shift your thinking when it comes to life insurance and think of it as a financial tool. Okay. So just like a carpenter uses a hammer, right, to hit the nail, right? The hammer is a tool, right? So in the world of life insurance, when you're educated properly, you can now use life insurance as a financial tool. And what do I mean by that? So one of the ways that you can use it as a financial tool is that there are ways that you can actually set your policy up in such a fashion where you can actually turn it into a retirement income or an income source, right? Depending on what kind of policy that you set up.
Okay.
So if you set it up properly, right? So I'm not going to get into details in terms of what kind of policy it is, but I'm just know that there are vehicles that are set up in a life insurance policy where you can now turn it into a an income source. You could even use certain policies to pay off mortgages early. You can use policies to fund another major way that from a medical standpoint use it. And I'm gonna share this one story, and this is a living testament that I can speak to. I had a client years ago when they first rolled out a policy called a policy with what they call living benefits. Okay. And so what it means is that if you're not able to do, if you suffer a chronic illness, a terminal illness, right? Cancer, not able to do your daily living activities like bathing, toileting, taking care of yourself, things of that nature, you become disabled, things of that nature, because this stuff happens. Would you agree, Dr. Leroy, that people who suffer through cancer sometimes are living past cancer?
Yeah, I mean, and that is very true because my sister, my oldest sister, she was diagnosed with multiple myeloma, which is a type of bone cancer. Wow. The life expectancy for that cancer is only 5 years. She was diagnosed in 1995, 96.
Okay.
She just passed away last year.
Oh my goodness, sorry to hear that.
She had lived through all of those years. I'm talking like 25 years. And I remember her and I talking because we were putting her book together to write about, just the great things that she had done and how she didn't allow this cancer to have the best of her. Even though she had it, she still did not, it was going to have to take her kicking and screaming, which is what it had to do. She was not accepting that it was going to defeat her and everything like that. So you get these, we do get these situations where it doesn't happen. You can outlive some things, at that particular time. I mean, like I said, 5 years versus 25 years.
Exactly. And one of the parts that affect people's life is their quality of life, right? Because now they're and so while someone is transitioning through overcoming cancer and getting through that, I'm going to shift this a little bit towards a particular client of mine, right? So we had this particular policy called a living benefits policy. I just wrote the client 6 months ago, right? Not 6 months today, but we're talking about, 7, 8 years ago, I wrote this client. Got about a $250,000 policy with me with some living benefits, bells and whistles attached to it. So what happened was, out of nowhere, 6 months into that policy, that client ended up literally passing out in the bathroom and collapsed on the floor. Okay. What happened to her? She had a stroke. Okay. So when you have a stroke, typically people live past a stroke and they got a rehab and all those different things. And the one thing that was able to save their family's situation was they had a living benefit component to it. So
Wow.
what does that mean? They were able to advance a
Mhm.
$250,000 term policy, okay, and advance the money, and they didn't die, right? Because
Mhm.
normally when you die, you have to, that's how you get the proceeds.
Correct.
So they literally advanced 90% of that money to pay off a car, to pay off the doctor's bill, to be able to take care of mortgage payments,
Mhm.
other expenses that arose, from that scenario. So
Right.
that particular gentleman, I helped the husband out. We were able to, he paid the wife's new car that they just got. So remember, what happens is that when people go through these things, they lose their quality of life. They foreclose on houses, or
Right.
they end up shifting their life financially. But because they took that policy out, they were able to advance a little bit over $200,000 worth of money while they were alive. That's
Right.
the part. They were alive. Because normally you gotta die
In order to
to
be able
get
to get
the
that.
policy.
Right.
They weren't
Right.
dead. So till
Right.
this day, they're very thankful to me because I was able to get them that policy. So
Mhm.
again, we don't know when life is going to shift on us just like that in an instant. I didn't know that 6 months after I helped this, couple out with a policy, that this would happen to them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So that's the beauty. That's what's beautiful about life insurance, is that it can literally maintain that person's quality of life while they're going through those transitional changes. Especially with this particular policy. I love the living benefits policy because, again, people are living through cancer, people are living through strokes, people are living through heart attacks.
Yeah. Yeah.
People are, having a rehab because they ended up having some kind of sickness, that prevented them from having a normal quality of life. And they can now use a policy while they're alive to still maintain that quality of life and having positive advantages of using the policy as opposed to dying to use the policy.
Yeah, absolutely. Everett Smith said, GoFundMe is not a is not a final, not a final expense way to go. That's not a proper way to be able to use it, and we've got to understand that uh, we've got to stop. We've got to stop, people. The GoFundMe's
Oh,
for how.
I knew you was gonna say that one there. That
Yeah.
man, that part there breaks my heart
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
I had it used to mess with me a little bit
Mhm.
when and that's where I feel I did my part,
Mhm.
is when I had an encounter to educate someone, and because now that's one of my missions, is to stop these GoFundMes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
especially when you're surrounded by somebody like me, or you had an encounter with me, and I do everything that I can to avoid that thought pattern, because you can't sell enough fish fries and chicken dinners, to fund, you know what I mean? Like, I
Yeah,
mean, that's not going
exactly.
to cut it. And neither does your, and again, and I don't know, I know that ministry and things of that nature will step in and do that. But that's not the best usage.
Right. Exactly.
That's not
It's not.
that's, they'll help, but I don't think that's the best utilization. Those monies can be allocated elsewhere. Because again, even my bishop is an insurance man through and
Okay.
through,
Okay. Mhm.
and he tells people right out the gate, that I do life insurance. So just know, he said, just know, because I do life insurance, we are not using the church funds to fund your funeral. So if you're gonna get a policy, I'm gonna educate y'all. We're gonna figure out a way, at least, come to us and let's figure out a way to fund that funeral by way of life insurance.
Yeah. And I like that. I like ministries and pastors that understand the importance of that, because there's, like you said, there's nothing sadder than being a member of a church and you not being able to take care of those final expenses, and you trying to rummage up the money to be able to pay the church
Yes.
to have the service, to be able to pay for the tombstone and the final arrangement need to be made, and then also to be able to leave something for your family. I get tired of men, and no, I'm gonna say not men, males, talking
Okay.
about, well, I'm the man of the house, and I'm supposed to be the protector and the provider. I said, and one, I don't, there's more to us than protect, provide, and it's more than just from a physical standpoint, being physically protecting, but it's about, you know, how you protecting your family emotionally, psychologically, um, financially, like in this sense, in far as, you know, having a life insurance policy. Because my first question to them is, you want to call yourself a protector? Do you have a life insurance policy on you? Shut them
Right.
up, right? That'll shut them up real quick, because
Shut it
most
down,
of
right?
them
Yeah.
don't. And I saw this dude on YouTube the other day, and he was talking about, you know, him being this, you know, this great entrepreneur and everything like that. And he was talking about investments and things like that. And he talked about having a $40,000 watch
Mm-mm.
and a litany of Jordans that were worth so much money, right?
Right.
And as I was watching, because I didn't watch all of it, of course, because I can't stomach this stuff, but I'm like, you got a $40,000 watch, you have these tennis shoes, and you're talking about these being assets. And I would love to ask that question. Do you have a life insurance policy for you? Do you have a life insurance policy for your wife? So that if something happens to either one of you,
Mm-hmm.
you're taken care of. And in most cases, I promise you, Claude, in most cases, most men don't have it. And I'm talking rich men, wealthy men, because
Yeah.
we can use a prince that did not have,
There you go. That's
he did
it.
not have it. I'm sure he might have had a life insurance policy. I don't know if he had a will,
Right.
because his estate is sitting out there. Michael Jackson is another. So you have these well-known people who have the money to be able to just get a policy. To
And you
have
know what? There's a personal mentor of mine's right now that I can definitely, he's definitely has made a profit hand over fist in regards to being in business. And I can attest to that comment that you just made, because he has the affordability to get a policy. And right now I can probably tell you that and he knows I'm an insurance man.
just like your bishop.
To go, and then to make matters worse, his brother is an insurance man.
Wow.
But right now, I can tell you, till this day, he has no life insurance policy.
Yeah. But yet, the first thing that a lot of these males will say is, well, it's the man's responsibility to protect and provide. Well, you aren't protecting nor providing, because you're not protecting yourself, and you're not protecting you're not protecting your family in case something does happen, and you're not providing. You're not providing the security that is needed when something, because it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when.
Yeah, that's it.
Something's going to happen, you know. It's just a matter of when, and being able to say, you know what, I made sure that not only was I taken care of, but my family is taken care of in case something happens. No,
Right.
none of us want anything to happen to us, but we don't have control over it.
Right.
We don't have
Right.
we don't have control over that. So I think that's vitally important. So I want you to go in, if you can, just tell us a little bit about the company Take Charge, and Take Charge, what you do. I know you mentioned it a little bit earlier, but if you could just reiterate that,
Yeah.
tell us about Take Charge.
So Take Charge, I like Take Charge Financial Group is really a movement. So yes, we are a life insurance agency, particularly specializing in final expense. However, the Take Charge community, we live by a mantra, and that mantra is take charge of your thoughts, right? Take charge of your actions, and then take charge of your future, right? So, yep, there you go. And so
Right
when
there.
and the reason why I want to harp on that is because we're building a community of folks that we want to take charge, right? And so it's a mantra that you can say at any given moment, right? So when you take charge of your thoughts, it starts with your thought pattern. What are you thinking? Right. And when you can take charge of that thought, right? So whether whether you want to do something positive, or, whether you want to be an entrepreneur, you want to pursue leadership, whatever that is, it has to start with thought.
Right.
And then now you have to take charge of your actions. What are you doing to help amplify that thought, right? what in a physical action, right? You know, whether that's reading books, right, pursuing mentors, or putting yourself in an environment, you know, working day in and day out, applying the disciplines, you know, in regards to what that is, and then also taking charge of your future, because once you take charge of your thoughts, actions is going to ultimately affect the trajectory of your future, right? And so when we think of take charge, not only do we, you know, we believe in, you know, the financial success, but we're a real firm believer of working on the inner success, right? So when you have inner success, you're going to ultimately affect the outer success. You know, so at Take Charge, we're just a community of life-changing agents, change agents. So not only are we life insurance agents, but we're change agents, yeah. Right? And so we're change agents. So that's what Take Charge is all about, is just being in a position where, you know, and we like the mantra, take charge, right? Yeah. Because it's an empowering word, yeah, right? Is. A lot of people say the word take charge, like, man, you're going to do that, man, take charge, right? You know, and so one of our, you know, mascots that we have is a rhino, right? So rhino is an animal, right? In the jungle, or in the, you know, in the safari, right? And so when they're moving forward, they take what? They take charge, they run, they charge after it. And so that's one of the biggest things that we think about, because a rhino never moves forward. So when you take charge, you know, that's something that we have as a mantra, or a mascot, if you will. So when you get involved with our company, you know, we are looking for agents all the time. We're looking for a certain candidate. You know, when somebody comes on board with Take Charge as an agency, we have a personal development community. So we have, like, every Sunday from 7:30 to 8:30, we have a kind of a it's a, I wouldn't say a free for all, but it is a community that we read a book a month, right? And so we read a book a month. You know, we don't only want to affect you in business, but we want to affect you in life. And so how we impact your life is going to impact everything else. So it's all about, you know, just that taking charge of that thought. So we're just a real believer of just impacting you from a thought pattern standpoint, and that we know that if you can think great things, think positively, it's gonna ultimately lead to your actions, which again change your whole dynamic and the trajectory of your future.
No, absolutely. You are absolutely right about that. So I want you to talk a little bit. You mentioned the benefits, the attachment that you could have. So can you tell us a little bit more about the just a couple of I guess other products or services that you all offer at Take Charge?
So I mean, at Take Charge, again, we're just primarily a final expense company. So we just specialize in helping people with funeral planning. You know, whether it's funding it through life insurance, primarily funding it through life insurance, but also actually with the funeral planning side too. So not only do you get a life insurance policy with us, but we also help you with funeral planning. Okay. And of course, we're also big in growing our agency. So we offer an opportunity. So for those who are, you know, are looking for an opportunity, you're a go-getter. You know, you're coachable, you're adaptable, you're trainable. You know, we're looking for an opportunity to impact your life financially. So if you're interested in, you know, just in regards to an opportunity in the life insurance industry, we're going to also teach you how to become a specialist. You know, so that's another, so it's not a service, but we do provide an opportunity. Right. So if you're a fit for our company, you know, we want you to be part of that, in regards to not only having a passion for helping people, but also helping yourself. You know, so if you're taking a passion for life insurance, we also help you pass your test, and we again just with personal development, just again impacting you from a personal standpoint. So again, you know, life insurance planning, and also a financial opportunity.
I love that. I love that. I love that, because it's not just here's a life insurance policy we got for you and you move on. It's about, hey, we have a range of different opportunities and different packages that you all put together for people, in dealing with people at different stages, you know, different stages that they are. And I like that. Now I'm gonna ask you this: what does Take Charge mean to you? When I say that to you, what does that mean to Claude Gibbs?
Taking charge to me is being in control of your own destiny, right? And what do I mean being in control? Obviously, God's going to direct our paths, right?
Mhm.
So whatever is in line with what God has for you, being able to take control within the guidelines of what God has for you, right? One of the things that we all have is greatness, right? We're all born with greatness, but some people don't know how to activate their greatness, right? Some people don't know how to activate, the destined life that they have. And so what take charge means to me is just being able to wake up, God willing, every day, to be able to choose the path that you choose to live, right? We have every day that we wake up, one thing I always tell my agents is that when you wake up every day, you have a choice, right? You have a choice to be great, or you got a choice to be mediocre, right? We are never the same every day. Every day our weight fluctuates. Every day the weather's different. Every day we have new skin. Every day is new. Every day is an opportunity to begin again. So what take charge means to me is being able to choose your path every day, God willing, and God's, his path for you, and just being able to pursue your greatness, whatever that is, being prosperous in whatever that is. And so what take charge means to me is just being able to choose that every day and being able to walk in that path, whatever that is that you decide to want to be in. So one thing I'm a real big believer on is that everyone has different passions. And so I just talked to a buddy of mine, and we talked about truths, right? Truths. So whatever is true to you, pursue that, right? It doesn't have to be life insurance. It could be motivational speaking. It could be, it could be being an author, right? It could be being a doctor. If that makes you happy, how can I help you do that? It don't have to be this, but whatever you do, how can I help you do that? How can I be a blessing to you? Where can I point you to? What book can I recommend? What audio can I share with you? So when I think of take charge, that's what I mean. It doesn't have to be this, but whatever that is, let's find a way to help you get there.
I love that. I love that, man. I love that, man. It's 2022, and my assignment is to make people better by the end of the year than they were at the beginning of the year. What are your 3 keys to someone taking charge in 2022 and being better?
Oh man, that's a great question. I got a buddy of mine, and he shared something so profound with me. And I like to call it the 3 Ds. Okay. And so when he shared this with me, it was revolutionary, right? Because when he shared it with me, it gave a whole new meaning to these 3 words, right?
Okay.
And so those three things, I actually have it written right. One of those the 3 Ds is, number 1 is you got to have discipline, right? So when you're disciplined, right, a discipline can take you anywhere that you want to go, right? So when we're talking about discipline, we're talking about, so one of the great things about being disciplined is that whether it's raining, whether it's sunshine, right, you're going to do it regardless, right? Whether you're broke, whether you're rich, you're going to do it, right? No one's going to change your mind about doing that thing, because guess what? You have disciplined yourself to go do that, right? So the next thing you got to have is you got to have dedication, right? So when you're dedicated to something, right, it doesn't matter what I tell you. I can literally say, man, Dr. Leroy, man, you ain't never going to be great, right? But because I told you that, because you're dedicated, no one can talk you out of it. Man, man, when you dedicated, your family members can talk you out of it. But guess what? If they don't talk you out of it, you're dedicated. No matter what. Oh man, man, the family gets together on Sundays, you know what I'm saying? And hey man, I would love to get with y'all, but I'm dedicated. I got something I gotta do. I'm going somewhere. I'm dedicated, right? No one can talk you out of it. No external events or whatever can talk you out of it, right? And then you have desire. Everything starts with desire. You got to want to do it. You got to have a genuine passion, right? Now, a lot of people include determination in the 3Ds, but you can also be determined to fail, right? So how do you get determined to fail? Because basically you can do everything that's contrary to moving forward, right? Because if you're determined to fail, sometimes when you're determined to fail, what happens is sometimes again, if it's raining, oh man, I ain't gonna do it, right? Man, it's my mom never did it, my dad never did it, they was never rich, they was determined to fail. Why? Because when you're determined to fail, you're a fair weather person.
Yeah.
You're gonna swing one way, you're gonna swing another. But if you have a desire, right? Desire, it starts with passion. You got to want to do it first. It has to be in your heart. That's where desire starts in. Then you have to have, then you're going to have the discipline, right? Once you got the discipline, now you got to add the dedication part to it. So that's the 3Ds: desire, dedication, discipline.
I love that. I love that. And that goes into us being intentional about having our final expense life insurance policy together, because you have to have a discipline to do it.
Yep.
You have to have a dedication to do it, and you got to have a desire to do it.
Oh my goodness.
It's a mind. It's a mind. This stuff that we're talking about is a mindset. It's a mindset, and we have to. We got to, and that's when we first got on, and when we talked a little bit before. It's about shifting our minds, because when we become disciplined to it, when we become dedicated to it, and we have a desire for it, it becomes a part of our. Here you go. It becomes a part of our lifestyle.
There you go.
It becomes it not only becomes a part of our lifestyle, but we pass it to the next generation so that they have it, and it becomes a part of their lifestyle. That's generational stuff right there.
And one of the main things that my buddy told me is that included in those 3Ds, you got to respect the process.
Yeah.
You got to respect the process. There's a process. You're going to go from not being educated to educated. You're going to go from not knowing to knowing, right? You're going to have to go through failure after failure after failure, right? But again, when you're dedicated, you're going to do it whether you failed 1,000 times, right? When you're disciplined, you're going to do it whether, you're incapable today of doing it, but then later on you're capable of doing it, right?
You don't feel like doing it.
You have the discipline to do it when everybody else ain't doing it. You do it when everybody else ain't doing it.
Yeah, I ain't trying to go on that walk today. Ain't nobody else out there walking today. I ain't trying to do it.
He said, that's my walk-off home run right there.
I know, right? Everett did add one more D to it, but you have to make the decision to do it. I like that.
Man, boom.
You have to decide to do it. That's huge. Everett, thanks for that. Yeah,
definitely. Turn into 4Ds now. 4Ds now.
Yep. Gotta decide to do it. That's cool. That's really good stuff. So what's next for Claude Gibbs the third and Take Charge? What are you working on? What is it that you have this year for 2022? If you want to share that.
Yeah. So one of our theme for 2022 this year is we call it the Take Charge Takeover.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, the year of execution. So that we're riding big on those two themes right there. So it's like a theme and a sub theme. So the main theme is the Take Charge Takeover. So as an agency, we're in the process of growing. So one part of being a Take Charge Takeover is we want to bring on super agents, right? So what's a super agent? A super agent is just someone who has a passion, for people. A passion for, the life insurance industry, right? And so the year of execution is whatever goal that is. It doesn't matter to us what that goal is, right? So we just want you to execute on that goal. If it gets you closer to your financial goal, that's what we want you to execute on. So just that growth and a year of execution, because when you execute something, there's no greater feeling that you have when you actually executed it.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's like the world of basketball, right? Or even sports, right? When you run a play and that play was executed, what happens when you execute a play? Woo!
Yes,
We
sir.
won, right?
Yes,
Man,
sir.
that's great.
Yes, sir.
Right? And it might not, again, what happens when you get that first down or that 3-point bucket? That was execution. What happens when you run a play, whatever play that is? We have a mantra on our team: run our play, right? And when you execute that play, success happens.
Big stuff,
So
y'all. Big
that's what's
stuff.
next for us is growth and helping people execute on that growth, whatever that is. It don't have to be anything major. It could be literally something small. But as long as you execute, I know one thing that you're gonna celebrate is you celebrated a win.
Yeah. And that's huge. It's about, like you said, it's not about it being big or small, but it's just about executing growth every single day. Just and one of my friends, Catherine, she said it's about having an assignment every single day. What's your assignment for that day? Working on that assignment for the day. What is it that you need to execute in? What is it? What assignment is it that you need to execute? And that way you can see, because I promise you, everybody that's at the sound of my voice, I promise you, when you execute, there will be growth.
Man, see, and that's why that's why we said it. It's growth and execution. So man, you just hit the nail on the head, and it's major. And that's the formula for winning in anything.
It really is. All right. So how can people get in touch with you to be one of those change agents, one of those become a financial, let me get it right, final expense specialist like you? What is it that they need to do? And even organizations that may be watching, that may be listening, that want to have you come out to be able to talk to them about the very thing that Take Charge does.
Absolutely. So again, if you're interested in an opportunity, interested in our personal development platforms, definitely visit us at www.takechargefinancialgroup.com. Again, that's www.takechargefinancialgroup.com. Visit our website. Is an opportunity, again, just to kind of see what we're about, see the culture, because culture is everything to us. We're real big on culture. So if you don't fit our culture, trust me, we are quick to say, hey, we can point you in another direction, because again, in order to have a championship winning mindset and a championship winning team, you got to fit the culture. So again, if you're interested in growth, interested in personal development, interested in opportunity, even if you have no experience, keep that in mind. You don't need experience. We just need your willingness, right? We need you to be coachable, trainable, adaptable. Or you can call me directly, right? 301-979-3911, or you can text me. And again, that's 301-979-3911, or shoot me an email at Claude Gibbs, and that's CLAUDE, Gibbs, GIBBS.INSagent@gmail.com. That's claudegibbs.INSagent@gmail.com.
And we'll put that in the comments and comment section so that people will be able to see it there in the comments in Facebook. Because everyone wants you to connect with him. He left his email in there, so make sure you check the comments in that section so that we can make sure that you connect with him as well. Claude, as usual, brother, you dropped the hammer. You bring the noise, as one of my favorite rap groups, PE, you say it. But y'all that don't know, PE is Public Enemy. Thank you very much. Y'all might be a little bit too young. Y'all might be a little bit too young to know about Public Enemy.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah,
thank you so much.
But man, I appreciate you coming and bringing this knowledge, this information, and these resources, man, that so many of us don't have, so many of us aren't aware of, and so many of us don't have the conversations about. And it's important. We have to make sure that we have these conversations with our children, with the next generation, and even with the what I call us, the now generation, and even our parents, our grandparents that are older, because they may not know about this stuff. So it's important to talk about everybody, from from grandma, grandpa, all the way down to the baby kids that are, that are coming up, and make sure that you have these legacy building, these wealth building strategies, because this is a strategy.
Absolutely.
This is a wealth building strategy, y'all.
It's a tool.
Yeah, and Claude and his organization, they are here to equip you with the tools that you need, with the knowledge that you need, and the information that you need to be able to take charge and to be able to take charge of your life. Because trust me, if you don't have an insurance policy, you're not in charge.
There you go.
I'm just gonna say you're not in charge.
There you go.
You're not in charge.
We gotta shoot straight.
You are not in charge. So, but any closing words that you want to leave the people with? I'll let you give the final word and then we'll close out.
And I appreciate that. So something that we always end our call with, whenever we're doing a conference call or a meeting, is we always repeat the mantra: take charge of your thoughts, charge of your action, take charge of your future, take charge, baby.
I love it, y'all. So y'all know what it is. And I said this week is about the upgrade. The upgrade. You upgrade your life by taking charge. You upgrade your life by taking charge of your life. Y'all know what it is. I love it. It's 2022, y'all. And it's building season. It's building season. What are you building in 2022? Hopefully, I want you to come away with this from this, watching this, by saying, I need to build my final expense life insurance policy. It's your boy, Dr. Leroy McKenzie, and Mr. Claude Gibbs III, coming to you all. We'll talk to y'all soon. We'll see y'all next time on the Brand New Development Series.